Hello, this case review demonstrates the storm target approach for the December 10th, 2021 wind and tornado event across eastern Missouri and western Illinois. This video will illustrate how storm target essentially targets storm hazards to provide greater precision and timeliness than the information provided through official watches and warnings, supporting better decisions to take cover when in imminent danger and not take cover when not yet in danger. For this case, we'll focus on the St. Louis, Missouri viewing market, shown in yellow. This is one of 5 severe storm cases available in this video series. For this day, the Storm Prediction Center forecast had an enhanced risk of severe storms across eastern Missouri and western Illinois, with a moderate risk further south. We had a strong low pressure system with a convergent north to south boundary across central Missouri, where we had very strong vertical shear and just enough instability to support severe storm initiation. Conditions were particularly favorable for damaging winds and tornadoes, given strong low-level wind shear. Evening infrared satellite imagery, as shown on the left, indicated storm initiation taking place across central Missouri. A tornado watch covered most of central and eastern Missouri and western Illinois for a 6-hour period. However, for the 2 to 3 hour period through about 8 or 9 p.m., the storm threat was focused over northeastern and central Missouri, north and west of St. Louis, where we saw the band of surface convergence. The threat to St. Louis and areas east was still at least 3 hours away, something not communicated through the watch. Again, our focus is the St. Louis TV market viewing area, covering eastern Missouri and western Illinois, shown in yellow. The right image shows a downscaled monitor graphic, suggested by the chat message shown, that is focused on counties north and west of the St. Louis area through about 8:30 p.m. The tornado watch extended further east, but the actual threat did not, given the lack of lift for storms in St. Louis and points eastward. Focus is just on the westernmost counties of the St. Louis TV viewing area for the next few hours. By 8 p.m., we had a line of severe storms approaching the St. Louis metro area from the west. Most likely by 6:30 or 7 p.m., a monitor graphic would be suggested that shifts eastward to cover the St. Louis metro area, and by 8 p.m. further south and east into much of western Illinois, with minimal threat further west as described by the chat message. Now let's look at some snapshots of this event to compare the official warning polygons to the likely prepare and action areas from the Storm Target Initiative. We'll start around 6:25 p.m. We have numerous potentially severe storms shown here in central Missouri, and you see a number of rather large warning polygons, even a number of them overlapping each other. Can you tell just from the warning polygons where the actual areas of danger are over the next 10 to 20 minutes? It can be a bit challenging. Let's compare this to the storm target approach and look for action areas of imminent danger, shown in red shade. We actually have 3 areas as highlighted, and we show the action areas covering the threat for the next 10 to 20 minutes, and then prepare areas in yellow further downstream in areas where there's not even a warning yet, highlighting potential threats over the next 30 to 60 minute period. These suggested areas are provided through the chat messages that you see on the right. By 6:35 p.m., we see more in the way of tornado warnings now, given potential rotational signatures. And again, we have a number of often overlapping warning polygons that can make the situation rather confusing. Where are the actual areas of imminent threat over the next 10 or 20 minute period? So again, we see 3 particular areas of focus shown by the red shaded areas, with the prepare areas in yellow further downstream across areas that are not even warned yet, indicating the need to pay close attention to the approaching hazards. There's also a hazard up far north in northern Pike County with no warning at all, but in an area where the environment suggests potential for intensification, and so a prepare area would be suggested for that cell as it moves towards the east-northeast. By 7:10 p.m., we have multiple hazards continuing to move east-northeast and northeastward across east-central Missouri. We see a number of tornado warning polygons shown on this display. Some are associated with clear threats of a potential tornado, others are much less clear, but do at least show the potential for damaging winds. Let's compare this again to the storm target approach and see which might display the actual areas of imminent danger better as we look ahead to the next 10 to 20 minutes. Those areas would be shown in the red shade. You see for the storm in western Pike County about to exit the warning polygon, that action area extends further downstream already alerting people in southern and eastern Pike County of the imminent danger from this storm, even though there's no warning yet in effect. And a prepare area even further downstream to pay close attention to this approaching hazard. We see the same thing further north in northeastern Pike County, Illinois, with a storm that is about to exit the warning area. And so the action area extends further downstream, with a prepare area even down into Cass and northeastern Morgan County, highlighting the threat that's approaching. Further south, we have another storm that's moving over southern Warren County, about to exit the tornado warning area. And you see that action area also extending outside the warning area further downstream, with a prepare area down to the St. Charles area. Even though there's no warning in effect, it's alerting the potential hazard could approach them in the next 30 to 60 minutes. And we see another tornado warning area further south that seems to cover the hazard pretty well. But again, we have a prepare area extending beyond the warning, highlighting a longer lead time message. All of these, again, are kind of highlighted as suggestions in the chat messaging shown on the right. By 7:30 p.m., the storms are starting to approach the St. Louis metro area. We see the latest in terms of warnings. We don't see a whole lot with the tornado warning up in Pike counties in both Missouri and Illinois there. Those storms are actually on the weakening trend. Let's see how that might be dealt with in the storm target approach. Well, for weakening storms where we don't see potential for hazards, but there might be a potential for further re-strengthening later, we might have a prepare area as highlighted there. Further south, we have the warnings to the south. We see the hazards that are moving pretty quickly to the northeast and may soon exit the warning polygons, and thus you see the action areas extending beyond the warning polygons, covering the next 10 to 20 minute period, with prepare areas now into the St. Louis area, focusing on the 30 to 60 minute lead time period. Again, compare these polygons to what is suggested in the chat messaging on the right. As we go to 7:45 p.m., the threat continues downstream. We see numerous tornado warnings, some polygons quite large compared to the areas of threat. Let's see how this is demonstrated in the storm target approach. Well, we see the stuff up well to the north has weakened further, and there's limited potential for any further intensification. There's widespread rain. It's unlikely to see further re-intensification, so there's no areas actually highlighted there. For the storms a little to the south there in Greene County, we see the main threat just in the center part of the polygon, the minimal threat in the northern and southern parts of the polygon, and that's highlighted in the action area in red, with a downstream prepare area over northwestern McAlpin County. Further south, within this very large tornado warning area, we actually have three potential threats. We have two potential tornado signatures. Those would be the southern tune storms, where we have action areas in red that focus on the St. Charles area and the areas west of St. Louis, with prepare areas over the St. Louis area. And we have another one that is not showing any significant signatures of wind and hail, but there's potential for it to intensify as it moves towards the Grafton area. And so we may have a prepare area for that one, even though we don't have an imminent threat at the moment. Moving ahead to 8 o'clock and zooming into these cluster of storms here, again around the St. Louis metro area, note the very large tornado warning areas. In comparison, the storm target action and prepare areas are quite different in terms of who is actually in imminent danger. Compare the difference between the two. We have very little threat over most of those tornado warning areas, mainly over the southeastern part of the southern warning polygon. The action areas extend beyond the warning areas, focused on the next 10 to 20 minute period where the storms could threaten, with prepare areas further downstream across McAlpin and Madison counties, providing 30 to 60 minute lead time, information that's not provided by the government. By 8:30 p.m., these storms have moved downstream of the St. Louis and St. Charles areas. We have new storms that are trying to develop west of St. Louis, and you see we have severe thunderstorm warning polygons in red there. But those storms look very disorganized. They're weak. There's no signatures of severe weather, either hail or wind at this time. And so most likely the best approach might be a prepare area, just for the potential that a cell could briefly intensify as it affects the St. Louis area. The main hazards are downstream. We have a big tornado warning area covering two separate hazards, and you see two separate action areas in red. These storms are about to exit the warning area, and so you see the action areas extending downstream, alerting areas that may be affected by these storms in the next 10 to 20 minute period, with prepare areas further downstream. So hopefully you see a significant difference between the threat areas highlighted in the storm target approach compared to official warning polygons. Numerous reports of damaging winds and several tornadoes were received across eastern Missouri and western Illinois, as shown on the storm map, with the red dots being tornadoes, the blue dots being wind damage. In addition to better downscaled watch information, hopefully in this case demo you observed multiple instances of prepare and action information that's downscaled warning information, such as to cover the areas of threat better and provide longer lead time than the official warnings, and even lead time of threats where no warning is yet in effect. Please refer to the website storm-target.com to view other case demos in this video series. Thank you.